good, looking good. Welcome in, everybody. Spin you guys around just a bit here. Perfect. Perfect. All right. What do we got? Excellent. Excellent, 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 you guys. All right, what we're going to do, get a few little colors onto our canvas right now. But I can tell you what we've already done. Taken my black gesso and covered the bottom of my 24 by 30-inch canvas. Big, long canvas for today. Lots of stuff can go into a canvas this big. That's why I like doing ones like this. They're very fun. And a lot of people are intimidated by a bigger canvas. And I feel, it might just be me, but I feel like if you have a bigger canvas, you have more room for your accidents, happy accidents, to grow into something more beautiful. So, always get a bigger canvas. If you think smaller is easier, not in painting. Smaller is actually much more difficult. So we're getting the last of our colors out, and then we should be all set-a-rooski. You know what? Let's use that permanent red today. Oh yes. Okay, so this is one of those Meaden colors. They got rid of the crimson, and they went with the permanent red for the Meaden set. Love these guys. Now, if you're going to be using this stuff, you don't want to use as much as we normally would with our bigger, more firm paints like the Bob Ross and the Winsor & Newton paints. You don't want to use as much of this Meaden stuff for sure because it's more wet. It's not as dry. Therefore, it doesn't act the same. I think we'll probably need the rest of my brown. Oh no, I've got no more brown paint left. What are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? Okay. So, you guys gotta let me know where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? Tell me where you are in the world. I love knowing where all of you guys are at. Now, actually, on a canvas this big, we could probably use our 2-inch brush. Right? Look at how that Meaden paint, a little bit of the oil came out as well, but it's so much more runnier than our other paints are. So, let's clean up all this excess oil. You can see just by touching it, it's much more of an acrylic paint consistency than our bigger, drier oil paints are, right? So, they act a little differently, and we use them a little differently, right? So we'll get out here into our cadmium yellow, the brightest and the brightest of all the yellows. Oh, look at that stuff. It's fantastic, right? I was telling you what we did down here. I had my acrylic black gesso all done, all blacked out, and then dried over, right? Then we put our liquid clear in that section, and then in the white section, we put liquid white oil paint. So everything on the canvas is all wet, and it should slide around and help us blend all these colors. Let's go into our Indian yellow. Little difference, right? Not too big of a change, but there's a little difference there. Into our cad yellow, pop this guy up here, and you can see it's much more of a dusky brownish yellow. I love it. Love that cad yellow color. So fantastic, right? And because it's such a thick base, right? You don't want to put too much on there, otherwise you're going to have to use a lot of pressure to get it to blend outwards. All right, let's go for that permanent red. Ooh, this stuff. Ooh, look at that color. Oh, baby, it's fantastic. We don't want to use too much because it'll then grow too far. All the red will overtake our canvas, right? The red is a very powerful color, and it wants to overtake all the yellows if we let it, right? So don't allow it to do that. And then just remember, we're going to go back and blend all this stuff out. We can't really do it with a brush so full of color. And let's go into our little bit of blue. A little touch. We'll start dropping the blue in from the top. Oh, I love the blue, but you remember, you got to have that red or crimson or something around the edge. Otherwise, your blue sky is going to run into your yellow sky, and what happens when that happens, class? We're going to get a green sky out of that, right? So a little bit of our blue. Remember, the blue is so powerful, we don't need too much, because it's going to want to grow on us. Let's take care of our little side issue over here. Getting our colors out onto the canvas, dropping them on, literally all we're doing. Now, just because, we're going to have a little of our black as well, our midnight black, just to help that blue kind of get a little bit more dullish, a little bit more grayer. Again, we don't need all the black in the world, just a little bit up there. Onto the brush, and we all know the black doesn't like to stay very black, right? When we put it up there, it doesn't stay very black for too long. It wants to blend away into all these prettier, brighter colors, right? So, now that we've got our brush so overly loaded with paint that we literally can't do anything else with it, let's switch to a dry one, right? These guys are so short. Oh, that guy's a little hard from last night. Get through all these Bob Ross brushes that we have. All right, let's go into our brightest part of our yellow. We're going to start to crisscross. And remember, guys, you can find this painting if you go to paintwithjosh.com. It's the very first thing up there. And as we start to crisscross all of our colors together, just making little X shapes, right? Starting in the middle, making bigger and bigger and bigger circles as we go. And that way you'll pick up a little bit of color, and it'll blend with this color and that color. And maybe we want to push a little bit harder on our yellow ochre so it blends down a little bit more. And see the difference in our area that we've touched so far versus the rest, right? The more you work into it, the more it's going to soften down, change colors, blend in, right? All over the place. We're basically just massaging the canvas to make sure that all these little bits of paint fill every single little crevice. Have you ever looked at a canvas very closely? There's all sorts of little dimples and little things in there that need to be filled in, and that's why your paint won't shred very easily. If you don't have a wet canvas, it's not going to shred very easily. Out here, out there. Oh, gorge. Just gorge. Look at the difference, right? They start to get softer and softer, and then when you have an area that you have a lot of paint in, you work at it a little bit more, and you push on it a little bit harder, and you blend it, and you push it, and you blend it, and then all of a sudden that big darker line gets softer and softer and softer. Right, now we're going to take all of our blue and black and try not to cover our hand-sized little sun out here. That's going to be the whole goal of the mission today. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, it's going to be not to cover up all that yellow, right? We don't want to do that. Alright, so where are you guys watching from? What's your favorite sandwiches? Let me know. Look at that thing just got so much softer, right? Just the softness of it all. Just love it. Alright, now that we've washed our brush off of all the yellow and stuff, right? That way we don't have any green action happening in our sky. We want to dab it off on a paper towel so it's nice and dry. And remember, all of this color is going to want to come in the harder we push on it, right? So let's start out here into the very beginning edges of it first, and just from that guy you can see how far that blue is wanting to come in. Already about 2 inches. It's already exploded into our scene. And we really got to be careful when we're around that green section, right? So the trick is blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it. And once you get up into your blue, don't go back into your yellow. That's not going to be good. How much of this blue can we get to come down, come down, come down? See that? Just working it over those other colors, going back in, massaging it, pushing it, mushing it, blending it, right? The more and more and more we go. Now, I don't want to get down too far. I'm going to end up switching to a different brush. But while we still have all this dark paint up here, let's push on it. See how far we can get it to slide. Right? Lots of pressure, lots of reps. Push, push, push. How far? Depends on your pressure, right? How far do you want that thing to go there? That's totally up to you guys. Not up to me. It's up to yous. Right? Now, along the edge, you can see our blue is wanting to continue to grow each time and get closer and closer and closer because we've got too much paint on the brush. So, let's switch to a clean brush. Right? Start back in our yellow section again. That way we'll have some paint on our brush by the time that we get out to the edge. Right, up into here, into that little softer area. Instantly, right, you're pushing that light back up into the blue. You can't really tell where anything starts and stops anymore. There's none of those hard lines out there. It's all about mixing it and blending it. And the amount of paint that's on the brush is absolutely vital, right? If you've got too much paint on your brush, it's not going to blend. It's just going to continue to grow. And that's not what we want sometimes. Look at this guy. All the way across from the blue, past the yellow and everything, and it's so blended and soft that it doesn't streak, right? That was my big question when I was watching Bob all the time. Like, how does he take his whole brush? Like, I just saw him put wet paint up on the cat. How does he take his whole brush and go side to side and not have that wetness drag across into the lightness? It blew my mind. I couldn't imagine how it was so. Right? It's because it's so blended out that you don't need. And we're using such a small amount of pressure that it's just not going to drag. Right? All right. Let's wash these brushes off. Then we'll go throw some clouds out in that soft little sky. Hide some different stuff. Gonna be fantastic, everybody. So, where are you watching from? What's your favorite sandwich? I don't even know when I started asking that question. All those long years ago. Thanks for all the follows, guys. You guys are amazing. We got roast beef over there on hello from Chelsea, Michigan. Thank you for watching. Make sure if you guys are watching over on YouTube, just hit that thumbs up button just one time. Give it a little click. That's all we need. One little click of a button, and that'll ensure that more people come in and watch the stream. I guarantee it. I'm telling you, it's about the algorithm, man. All you gotta do is hit that button one time. As long as it's highlighted and selected with a little thumbs up like that, then we're good. We're good, guys. Alright, that brush, this brush, and that brush. Okay, let's get in here and start throwing in some clouds, maybe a little sun. Let's see how to throw a sun in there. We've got our Paint with Josh filbert brush here, and we're going to load it up on one side, just one side of the brush, right? Pulling it down, loading it up, full of paint, just like this. Fantastic. We're going to come up in here, pick maybe our brightest spot. We're going to push the brush all the way flat, a lot of pressure against the canvas to make the bristles go flat, and then spin it into a circle. Right? All the white's going to intermix with all the yellow. Bang! And have this awesome little sun out there. And the more pressure you give it, right, the more it's going to mix in. And then you can add it, put it a little bit harder, change your shape, extend it a little. Boom, get that perfect little circle. Bink! Little sun out there. It's just the most fun little technique ever. But you got to push that brush in all the way. Right? It's not just floating it over the edge and spinning it. We're throwing it on the ground. We're pushing it in all the way in and then bending it like that. So it's at a 90 degree. And then you spin it and your bristles roll out into a little circle. Fabulous. Just fabulous, you guys. Okay, let's get up here now since we know where our light's going to come from. Let's see what we're going to do. I don't want to have a big old set. You know what? Let's get into here. Let's just get crazy. A little of our crimson, a little of our black, a little of our blue, the same little Paint with Josh plaque mix right onto the brush. But there's much more crimson in this guy than anything else. You can even see it when you pull it out. There's much more red in there than there is anything else. So let's come in, maybe off down here. Oh, just get that craziest, darkest little coloration. And that super dark, crimson-y blackish color, right? And take this guy and start to pull on it. Literally start to mix it up, do little things, push it here, mush it there, not trying to blend it away all the way, right? Just have a little soft little puff out there. You don't like it? Push on it a little harder, right? You don't like that hard line in there? Push it a little more. Extend it, have it grow that way, just by dragging it, right? Now, what we're going to do is pop in a little bit of white over the top of him eventually. And then we'll have all these little light bits that are being caught by our sun. Oh, it's fantastic. A little bit more of that same color. A little crimson, a little black. A little touch of blue. No need too much. No need too much. Maybe up top, right? If we had this big thing that's low and it's long and it's flat and it's real far away against all this color where you have that blue and crimson and yellow before we get to our brightest spot, it's that arc right there. Let's take that out at play right here. Let's pop in a whole little section. Now remember, this is the back side of your cloud. All the underside is going to catch your light, right? So we'll have all this craziness, all this darkness. We can even let it blend down into this dude too, right? They don't have to connect, but if we over mix the bottom one, right, it'll make it look further away. There we go. Over mix that bottom guy, lightly mix our top guy, just with the crimson and the black, little smidge of blue. Softest little touch, and you can see just by how we push on it. It's the same with the white paint, right? If you want it to stay super dark, then you're barely touching on it. If you want it to stay, or if you want it to blend away and go to a lighter mix, then you're pushing on it a little bit harder. Say we want this guy's darker purpley color, that just sort of extend up into that light, right? We can blend it. Don't touch our sun, though. There we go. Blend it around. Get that softer little bit just by mixing it in with the sky that's already there, right? Over mixing some places, under mixing other places. Maybe taking some of our light, bringing it over there, pushing it over here. Not everywhere is going to be the most prettiest, brightest thing you've ever seen, right? There we go. Gorgeous. Okay, let's get a little bit of our white paint. Gotta have some white out here because I'm going to take that white paint, really load it up, because now we're not only going over our sunset colors, but we're also going over all that darker paint as well. Right? So what if underneath here, all of our brightness, maybe it's crept up into, it stayed along the bottom, and just by the time that we got over here, it was all blended off of our brush, right? Take this guy, and instead of working him down, we're going to work him up. So we're going to go clockwise circles this time, which is very strange for my hand. I don't like doing clockwise circles. But to mix it over that darker color, and we're just trying not to over-mix. Right? You don't need every single bit to all be the same amount of brightness or the same amount of darkness, vice versa, right? Not every single thing out there has to be the same. Let's get a little bit more of our white. Let's say we popped on a little bit onto the tip top of this dude. Right? Just like that. Little pieces, little things, literally mushing the paint so it comes off of the brush and gets onto the canvas. And then we'll come back out here and we'll start to very lightly mix it. Now sometimes you might need more paint, right? So you have to go back and add a little bit more in different places. Sometimes you get it just right. You can drag those little bits of white over those darker, shadowy bits. Woo, baby, that's fantastic right there, right? Oh, man alive. I dig it. I dig it. You know what? Let's toss one more little piece of our dark, crimsony, blacky, bluey shadow up here. Say our cloud kind of maneuvered its way along. Maybe it comes down in front of our little further away guy back there. Right? All up to us. That one's a little bit more black than the rest of them are. You gotta, every time it could be different, right? Depends on how much paint we grab onto our brush. So we had more black in this instance and less crimson and blue than we did in the other clouds, which is giving it a darker sort of feel, a little different, right? 3 different shadows, all made from the same color. That's the best part about it. We're not trying to overdo things. We can literally use the same color and get these multiple effects. Have this little bit pop out. Maybe it's up along the edge. Maybe it dips down so we can have it grow down over our little piece. Right? You don't have to just connect them like connect the dots. The white always doesn't have to touch the white. Right out there, soft little things. Puff. Little craziness out here. I love him. All right, let's decide what we're going to do with our foreground now. Right? All these clouds out in the night. And getting darker as they go away from our little spot back there. So, I like that opening. Let's pop in one more little guy, though. Maybe we got one further away little dude. One up here. Just off in the distance, right? Kind of filling in our space back there. We're just going to put a little bit of paint because we know he's going to want to grow, and then we can soften him and push on it. So this little floater so far away that you just can't even barely tell that there's any amount of white on it at all. So we're not going to put any bit, barely mush on there. Soft little thing out in the distance. And we can mush it to our liking. I like that. That's cool. Right there. Perfect. Okay. Now, let's get down to business. What are we going to have the front of our painting look like is my entire question. First things first, we're going to throw, gosh, I'm just thinking the most amazingest, softest little mountain out here that you've ever seen. So let's get a little of our 3 favorite colors. And if you are a fan of the show, then you know the 3 favorite colors, or at least you should. So if you call yourself a fan, and you don't know the 3-color mix, you better educate yourself by looking in the comments. Because these 3 colors are going to make up what we like to call Paint with Josh plaque. P-L-A-C-K, all right? Not plaque, not a plaque. Plaque. There we go. All right, let's see. We look out and we can see into the distance and beyond. I don't want it to be too big. I mean, I could go way up here with it and just overtake all the stuff that we just did and push it behind our mountains, but we don't necessarily have to have the most giant mountain in every paint, right? So let's make them small. Let's go up and cut off our little piece of our cloud off in the distance, right? Just kind of scooping up. There it is. A little bit. Not everything has to be so peaky either. They can be relatively the same height. Not everything is such a crazy, craggy thing out there in the night. Right? Come up over here. Little bits, little things. Doesn't have to necessarily be perfectly straight, but again, we don't need it to be crazily peaky either. Right? All up to what we want it to look like. Kind of looks like mountains back in Vegas over here. Right? And we're going to take these guys, slide it down in different directions, basically just removing. You can hear it. We're removing the paint. All that paint right there was up on our mountain. Right? So we could even use the same paint. Dump it down in different places, pick it up, dump it down, scrape it up, mush it out, right? That's all we really need to do. Now, let's see what that little guy looks like by the time we come in with our 1-inch brush. We'll come grab it up and slide it out. It slides out this way, but you can't just keep pulling on the same direction forever, right? So eventually, you gotta come down this way. Just even with those two opposite directions, look at how you get something that's very flat into something that's very 3D all of a sudden, right? You don't have to do anything. You don't have to work extra hard. I'm not a magician. I mean, I am a magician. But it's not just magic that Josh can do. Everybody can do it, right? So, depends on how you streak it down. Maybe this guy was kind of straight and kind of sloped off down and around the other way. So it almost looks like we got a little valley back in there. How do you want yours to look, guys? It's not up to me. It's up to yous. All of yous out there. You can have different kind of mountains, different colors, different shapes, different everything. It's the best part about it, man. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I like him. See that little thing out there? One little bit. Doesn't have to be humongous. And it's still, if you wanted it to, you could make this guy, continue it up along to about there, drop down all those craggy peaks, and you have this whole huge, giant, spiky mountain. But the taller that your mountain is, the closer it brings it, right? Put a little smaller guy off in the distance, grab a little bit of our blue, a little bit of our white, a little touch. We don't need a whole lot for this guy because a little bit of our black as well. Because he's so far away, there's not going to be so many little details out here. See? Oh, I can barely see that. We put a little too much blue and not enough white. There we go. We want it to be like a sky blue color, literally. And then we dull it down with our black mix. So you come up, you let it suction cup against the canvas, and then just drag it off, right? You know when you don't have any paint left because you can hear a difference. You can feel a difference in the paint, literally as it grips onto the knife. Take this guy and we slide them all down that way, right? Just have a whole ridge full of blue shadowy snow on this whole side of our mountain. All that light just can't get caught, right? Different little things, different little bits, they're deposited with different amounts of paint. Not everything is so perfect. It's not so caked on that we can't see any of our under mountain bit, right? That's the part that we have to keep, that spot back there. Now, let's grab a little bit more of our white, a little bit more of our blue, just because we never make up enough. Don't ask why. I wouldn't have an answer for you. Don't ask. I said don't ask. I say don't ask, that means don't ask. A little bit more of our black back into here, just to dull it down a smidge. There we go, right there. That guy up, maybe off the back side of this little cliffy poo. Have a little bit of our shadowy things as well. Right? It's not even the same color. That's what's perfect. Every time you do it, it'll be a little bit different. Maybe we get a little bit of that brightness on the edges of our blue on this side. Not necessarily making it the whole thing the same color. Right? Maybe there's different places where the light's trying to reach down and grip on. Ooh, it's fabulous. Maybe back in here, we have some straight up like columns. So all we're going to do is add our bit of blue back into there, grab a little bit of white, one little smidge of the blue that we created down here. Not our pure blue, otherwise it's going to make the same color. Right? One little smidge of that guy with a lot of white, and that's going to change that blue into a very bright whitish snow, right? Quote unquote. Little whitish snow. So we're going to scoop up a little bit of that, come off of this guy. Now it all depends on how our knife bends and turns as we're dropping down these little things, right? Maybe again, this guy's a very sheer little cliff in the back. Who knows? But you gotta have a very light touch and just deposit on small little bits. Not everything has to be the same amount of brightness, right? So maybe there was a little bit up there and it started to fade its way down, but not everything got caught. Everything's gonna catch it all the time, right? A little bit of our white. Again, we're pulling it down, in case you've never seen this before. Pulling it down so it's nice and flat. We'll wipe off the knife so that's nice and clean. Always gotta give it a flip. Right? We're scraping it away from the palette, literally removing a section so you have that bead, that little roll that's up here. And then that's what we're applying to our canvas and then letting it fall off of our knife. It's such too much pressure, you're going to smush all your little bits. If you don't have enough pressure, it's not going to grip on, right? Little things, you get to decide what it looks like, how heavy it is, how much it's laid on there, how brightly it is, you know what I mean? All those little things are up to us. What if we came across our blue and then became very straight-handed? Look at those straight things. They're literally straight across. Straight across, right? To make it look like that versus coming down at an angle. You can do so many things, you guys. There's literally endless little possibilities we can do with the same paint, the same knife, the same tools. Literally. Endless little things that we can do. Maybe there's a little ridge right up in there. Just a little bit of light. Oh, yes. Just the littlest. Right? Maybe off the tip top. I'm just trying to be good. Catch a little bit of light on the end over there. I like him. I like that, as they say. Right? Try to get right up onto the edge of that darkness, though. That's where you're gonna have it. There we go. Right down there. Over its edge a little. Down the side. Right? Little things get to happen out in the night. Alright, now we've got to soften the edge of our crazy little mountain-esque scene back here because we need to then put more layers on top of it. You know what I mean? We can't continue with this thick amount of paint right here to then add another thick layer and another thick layer and another thick layer and another layer. You have to soften them in between. So even though this might be your favorite part of your whole painting, right? Next time, make your favorite part up here because we know we're going to have to mess with the edges. Just very lightly dragging it in. Right? See how it kind of took away a few of those little details? Same thing in here on this little blue section. Right? Taking away the smallest little bit. These guys we were very much straight across, so we're going to brush them very much straight across because we were doing our knife straight across. This guy, I'm going to come up the left-hand side because every time we came down with our knife, we were going down like this. We're going to take our brush and go up from the bottom, and all it's doing is very lightly softening the edges so we can then come in and tap out a bit of mist, right? Now, we're not brushing. You can hear it. That's not the same sound as brushing the canvas, right? We're tapping on these little bits, dragging on these little things, just little pieces at a time, and that way it's constantly mixing. Every time it hits, it's going to mix and mix and mix and mix and mix every time, right? And that way, it'll look like you've got this little misty fogginess around the base of your mountain. You can come in and mix up that little misty fogginess, just like this. Look like literally there's a little cloud back there. Base. Ah, goodness. Just goodness. Alright, now let's get in here. We're going to grab up our plaque mix again, which we probably don't have enough actually. So let's come over here and grab a little bit of our black, a little crimson, a little blue. We'll mix them in down into the same color. Right? Literally, it's the hardest thing to mess up. You can't mess up Paint and Josh plaque. It's going to be super dark. And that's what you want it to be in order to stand out, right? And then we can choose whether or not we want to lighten it or whatever. All up to us. All up to us. Man, that's a cool looking mountain back there. We're going to have this enormous tree. Can't wait. Okay, let's get into this black section, all of our plaque paint over here. And we're going to run our paint down through, wiggling it, rolling it, just like this. Back up again. That way it's loaded up onto both sides. It's nice and tight. Come in here and start popping at it, right? And as you can see, the more times that you pop at it, the less sharp your brush becomes. So you gotta go back in, wiggle it down again, back at your little treesy poos. Come in like that. Right? All we're trying to do is fill in just a little section in between where our mountain is and where our forest now resides. And we need enough paint on there to cover that line. So from the white to the black. If your mountain goes over that line, it's perfectly fine. That's how you really want it. I didn't really bring mine down enough. There we go. Popping it up, covering it over. Not all the way up into our white snow, right? Because that would really be difficult. As soon as the white contacts that plaque, it's going to want to turn bright gray, right? So we're sticking into the area that doesn't have any paint on it anymore because we mushed it, right? Literally touching the canvas. There's no paint over there because we smashed it out with our brush and we blended them all away. Right? So that's the area that you want to stick into when you're doing your trees. That way it projects all that distance back there. Right? The higher you go up into your snowy mountainy bits, the harder it's going to be to stay bright, and the brighter your trees are going to get down here. It just makes it a lot harder to do. Right? Don't have to cover the whole thing. We're eventually going to get further and further towards the side. Each time we do another step forward, we go more and more and more to the edges. So that's part of that. Now let's get out here. Let's go very lightly from the bottom to the top. Straight up, not trying to drag so far that we drag up through all the snow, right? It does happen. We flick a little bit of the snow because you get that white color to deposit down here. But we're not just trying to go all the way up. That's not the goal, right? Again, same thing that we did on our mountain, except instead of going around the mountain in a circle this time, I'm just going to go straight up and down on these trees. So you tap them in over here, right? Just with the one corner of the brush, the whole bottom sides, not even touching the brush, right? Only having color up here. No color down here has been touched yet. Just smacking into it, tapping at it, pulling on it, right? Literally making the bottom of it softer so we can then add another layer. If you didn't do this part, then it would be more difficult to then add more paint and more paint and more paint into this next lower down area because you haven't made it soft. Right? Come in here, wiggle it, push it, mush it. Literally now it's as soft as the canvas is down here, right? Because there's no thick bits. If I touched up here, you would be able to literally feel the paint. So you gotta soften it down in between different things. Now, let's say, what if we had, there is a little bit of mist back in there, but it's not a lot. What if we added a little bit of our white off of our brush, just like we were making clouds back in there. Right? Soft little thing, and then we're really gonna go push on it hard. And that way it mushes out, spreads, it's all that misty fogginess. Right? See the difference? A little mist, less, more, less. All these little different things back in there are going to help us in our brains to figure out what's going on back there. A little bit of white, and then again, come in and just push on it real hard. We're not trying to make a cloud out here. We're trying to just have a little bit of lighter color, some softer little mist, real hard on our pressure. Bang, little cloud floating underneath. Now, let's go do, I don't know, let's get into something nuts. Let's just do something crazy. Thanks, G. I appreciate you. Let's do something crazy, you guys. Man, this is such a cool one. Oh, I love it. Okay. All right, what are we going to do over here? What if I'm having this dream? I'm going to see what this guy looks like. A little bit of our Indian yellow, a little bit of our Cadmium yellow, or ochre, excuse me. And then we're going to come popping in down here. Just a couple little bits. The trees off in the night, right? Problem is, you need a fair amount of your paint in order to have enough of that coloration and enough of our sticky texture and stuff to look like the trees that we're trying to go for. Just a couple. Don't want to have too many. Now, to add to those guys, when we come in here, I'm going to get a little of my odorless mineral spirits, a little of my plaque mix. I'm just going to come up and start throwing in a couple little bits of tree trunks here, there, and everywhere. Not everywhere is going to have the same amount of dark tree trunk or stick or whatever showing through. A couple little pieces. Nothing crazy. We do have to soften the bottom of these guys, just like we do with everything else. Come up, kind of grab a bit of that tree trunky bit, soften it down so we can then go back and put more things in front of this guy. Right? For that guy, cover this guy, soften it down. As long as we have that little bit of mistiness in between all of our textured areas back there, right? We've got something that you can play around with. That's pretty cool. There we go. It's a textury, fiery little leaves out in the night. Or the day, wherever we want them to be, right? Wherever we want them to be. Oh, that's cool. You know what? I'm going to do one more set as we roll through it. If I've got enough paint on my brush, is the question. I like how they're turning out over here, right? Oh, perfect. That is what we needed. Drop it in, just like that. A little bit. Again, we're going to come in and mist up the bottom section by tapping at it. Get all crazy. Letting it mix in with the white, the black, all the other bits back in there. Now you've got a little section of a different kind of a tree in front of your other little trees back there, right? Now, what are we going to do in front of those guys? There's all sorts of things that happen in our brains, right? Come down back into our plaque. What if we had a whole nother set coming down into here, popping up into the light color of our trees back there? And we'll have a little, just a little thing, a little pocket of our trees back there. Get a little of our crimson, blue, black, mix up a bit more of our plaque mix because you're never going to have enough, literally. I can never make up enough of the color, honestly. So, what if back through here, rock in, load up our brush again, start tapping up so they're real sharp, up into that brighter yellowy color. Right? These guys can literally look like they blend in with our tree back here, honestly. Our little tree section back in the distance. You don't even have to go all the way to the edges either, literally. Almost like a little golden forest back in here. I like it. I like it. We're trapping them in. Trapping them in, you guys. That mist in between the two little bits of our forest back here. Keeping it separate looking, even though it might look like the same color. As long as we can keep them separate, that's our goal. Here, up into there, down into the mist. Remember, don't get too close to all those colors. Otherwise, they're all going to blend in. We're not going to know what's what and what's going on. Right? Tapping it, locking it in. It's locked in. Boom, boom, boom. All these little trees out there. All these little different things. Again, we're going to come back with our 2-inch brush. Very lightly, swiping it up. Just to kind of fill in all of our spaces. It fills it in a little bit more. Gives them a little bit of a streak up into the night. Very cool. Very cool. That same last little part, we're going to come in to our little mist. Because you got to. If you don't, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. See? See what we did there? I was like going a little bit higher, a little bit lower, a little bit higher. Just so you have that oddness. It's not just all the same bit. Right? Really push on this guy down here. Now we're down into some foregroundy area where we could really start launching in some stuff. So why don't we take all of our little brushies back in here. Yeah, let's use this guy. Let's get a little bit of our sap green. Pull that guy down, mix it in with our cad yellow over here. That's why we always put them together. A little bit more yellow than the green, right? Especially initially in the beginning. Maybe we start tapping in little bits. And all of a sudden, there's a piece of grassery. A little bit of grassery, greenery, kind of typing it in like a reverse email. Boom, boom, boom. Like a really long text message, just line after line after line. You're really upset with this person. You're writing them a book. Fall over down the side, right? Super bright right here. It's going to make you look right there. And then you tap it and tap it and tap it. A reverse email status. We're pissed. We're like, you know what? You can just pop, pop, pop all the things you want out here in the day. Okay, over there, over here. How far do you want it to go? You want it to climb up the other side? You get to choose. It's up to you. It's not up to anyone else. There's no one else out there saying you can't do it or you shouldn't do it that way, this, that, or the other. Literally. It's a little bit more green, a little bit more of our yellow onto both sides of the brush. Let's tap it down this way. Let's rock it up that way. Maybe a little hill back here. Just, right? Maybe you can go around the edge. Who knows? Who knows? Can you in yours? Because you might be able to in mine. I don't know that I would, but you might be able to. Right? How far do you want that grass to grow around? What do you want to have on the inside? Do you want to have anything? And you just go back and fill in those little taps, right? Little things. Don't try to rush it. If you try to rush it, it starts looking like this, where you have big old blobs, right? Because you're trying to do it too quick. So get back in there. Little tappy poos. Little thingamajigs. Tap, 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 tap. Right? You don't have to fill in every single piece of grass out there. Not everything's all the same, so leave some of your darker areas, some of your lighter areas. Looks pretty cool if you ask me. Out here, I'm thinking I can just see I would want to live right there. That's where my little house is going to be. Bang, right off the side. Right? So we're literally removing the paint that's there. Let's take our plaque mix. I don't think we have enough, but let's try. We're going to go 1 1/2ers on our one side, just mushing on our darkness. Then we're going to go on the other side, turn our knife, pull it down, just applying our dark paint 2 full lengths of the knife. 1 to 2 off the back side, and now you've got a little cabin out there. And I realize it might be a little hard to see, so let me line it up for you. Right? Take a bit of white, a bit of our brown, find a space to work in over here. Even on this enormous palette, we still can't find a space to work. A little bit of our darker Van Dyke brown as well. More of our dark Sienna, because I always grab too much white. And a little bit of my plaque mix right on top. Let it blend down. Perfect. We don't need everything. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with our mountain, except we're going to give it more pressure. We're going to come up under here and just push down so it falls down like a bit of wood. Right? Come up next to it. Same thing. Same pressure. Right? We're not trying to float it. I don't want the knife to break and have all the crazy broken bits like out there. Right? We want it to remain attached to the canvas, and that way you get those cool wood grain marks. Okay. Now a little bit more of our black, a little bit of our darker brown as well, just to darken up, because this one side is in the shadow, so it should be just a touch darker. Just a bit. There we go. Okay. A little bit of a difference in color. Right now, we're going to take our bit of our plaque, line out our roof, just like that. Just like that. So you have it's almost about 1 or 1 1/2 lengths of the knife, and then 1, maybe 2 1/2 for the roof. If anything for your roofs, always make them slope down backwards versus up like this. You don't want to go along this same track and keep going up that way. You want to slope down and away from the back of your roof. Right? Now let's get out here and make a hot red tin roof. I just love a red tin roof. Woo, that permanent red. Right, we don't want to use too much of our white though, because then it's going to make it permanent pink. We'll have a little pink tin roof. Let's get out here and light it up. Bang, just a little bit. Right, out there, there. The more that we put on there, the more pressure that you give it, the more it's going to intermix in with the plaque mix. A little touch on the other side. Bang, got a little house out in the night, guys. How simple is that? Touch out there. You gotta be careful on those cabins that you can see the whole thing, right? If it's not off the edge of the canvas, you gotta really focus on those details and make sure that your roofy roofs are looking good. I like that one. I like that, he says. Okay, a little bit more of my black just to come up underneath this guy. Right up underneath the roof, we're gonna leave one little touch of a shadow if we can. If you can't, that's okay. All right, come back. Let's scrape out a door and a window just simultaneously. Just remove it. Come over here. If you need to, you can go back in with your black or your plaque mix and cover up what's inside the window part. Right? If you need. You don't necessarily need to all the time. Let's get out here. Pop a little brown right on the edge, like a little shelf. Just a little shelf, a little windowsill. Some sort of something, kind of fill in the pieces. Boom, little bits out there in the night. You guys. Oh, that's awesome. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This guy. Just like that. Now you can always, I always try to anyway, pull my cabin down further than I think I need to, because you're going to have to go back with your grassy brush. A little yellow and green, and come back in here and start piping in the grass all the way up to our doorway, our opening back in here, right? Deciding where our little cabin gets to live. Like piping in his grass. Ooh, it's nice. Just a little shabby old cabin out there. Take one little bit of black on the small side of my knife, smallest little bit, go down into the roof a little, then up and out of the roof a little, and you can create a little chimney pipe. Just a little guy. I don't need it to be too crazy. There, a little bit of chimney, and you can even touch the smallest little bit of white right on the top, just to prove that it's not on, but you can see the top. It's literally right there. Right? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, what are we going to do as far as I can see? Let's get in here. We're going to need to mix up some more plaque mix. We're going to need to do lots of stuff. It's been 45 minutes, guys. 45 minutes. We should be done by now. On most things. This guy's a little bit bigger than most, though. All right. So, let's clean up a space for us to work in. Over here. Then we can get back at it. So, you guys gotta let me know where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwiches? Let me know in the comments right now while I'm wiping up this giant mess we've created. It's literally my slogan, make a mess. Because it's fun, that's what we do. We make messes around here. Alright, we're gonna need more plaque, and I'm gonna want some trees. And let's do like a bit of rocks. We can do loads of bushes off the front of this guy. We might do that. We might do that. Alright, let's get the bush brush all cleaned up. Because we're going to need to use him. Now that we made a decision on what we want it to look like. Use the old bushy brush out. We'll clean off all of our 1-inch brushes. Even on a big canvas, I still prefer using the 1-inch brush. That guy. So, let me know where you're watching from around the world. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Hit those emojis if you're watching on Facebook. And tap the screen like you'd never done before if you're watching over there on TikTok. Just love you guys so much. You guys. This, that. Couple left, guys. Couple left. Here. Perfection. This. Two more to go, guys. 2 more to go, and we're there. So, how has your weekend started? Mine is not my weekend. It's like my Tuesday, actually. Today is my Tuesday. I gotta perform for you guys all weekend. Luckily for you, love that for you, hate that for me. Over here, the last brush will get cleaned out, and let's see what we got looking at over here. You should see my paper towel section already. It's covered, literally covered in paints. Alright, let's get in here. We need to add a bit of depth back by our cabin, right? I've already got low. We've got 4 layers, 5 layers including the cabin, right? And then we'll have 6 and maybe 7 as we drop over the front, which is a lot of layers of depth. 8 if you include the sky and all the clouds. That's a lot of layers back there, right? So, let's get in here. We need to mix up a little bit more of our plaque mix. Probably going to need to get more blue out of my paint box. Most definitely going to have to happen. Mix all this stuff down, literally scraping it all the way through to the very bottom of the pile. Right? We have all that stuff, flip it over, smush it out flat again. Start picking it up all the way through the bottom of the pile again. Smush it down again, right? Come at it from the side, come at it from above, however you can get it to mix. Right? A lot of times I just mix it like this. Little circles, right? Just mushing on it. It does end up getting all over your knife that way, but works. Alright, let's see. If we had just a touch, a little bitskies of... I don't want to have a bush or two right over here. So let's come in with a little bit bigger of a tree. Let's give a little bit of our plaque mix again. I'm going to drop it right through, right down next to our little cabin guy. Right up like that. Bang, straight down and in. Now, as we go across him with our very light pressure, just the corner of the brush touching, the more we go down, the more we push until it's the whole force that you can get against the side of the canvas, right? And that way you're dropping on all that texture, leaving all that good stuff for us right there. And let's say maybe we had another guy a little bit closer, and we ended up here. Bang, right down. He's going to take away half our cabin by the time he comes down there. Again, just the corner of the brush, tapping in, right? The more that you get down, the more you start pushing on it. The more you get in there, the more pressure, the more paint is going to come off of our brush, the more texture is going to be out there. Bang, right? It's a little bit bigger, sits all the way down into the foreground. Very cool. Now, let's pop in. Let's do a little sticky guy. Let's aim for a spot that's not too overly filled with our white paint, like maybe there. Start just with the corner. Zip! Bang, our guy's got a little friend that lives out in the night. Let's maybe do, oh, who knows. We'll get one. If we do one back there, I could do a big sticky tree in the front. Or we can do another sticky tree and do a kind of bigger evergreen in the front. Pop another bush, put a bush. So let's extend it out to about here. Bring this guy down. Boom! It's a little further, a little closer to us. What makes it closer to us? Can anyone answer that question? What makes this tree closer than that tree back there? Right? Anybody out there know? I'll give you a Jolly Rancher if you get it right. Remember that? I used to play like bingo and all these games in school for like the prize was a Jolly Rancher, and I would always get so excited. And guess who never won the Jolly Rancher? Guess who never got one single Jolly Rancher from school? This poor guy. Yeah, I know. I'm sad about it too, still. There we go. What makes that little tree closer than all the rest of these little guys out here? Right? The darkness, I guess. It's more about where his butt sits, right? His base is sitting way down here versus this guy's, which is back there. That means we'd have to take a couple steps backwards to reach that spot, right? All about how tall it is and where its butt sits. This guy is taller than this guy, but look where his butt sits, right back there. It means he's further away than our little friend is up here, right? All based on your perspective. Now, let's come in and hide where our little guys are attaching themselves to our grass, right? Come in, tap in with our little grassy brush, just filling up the base, just so it doesn't look like it's floating out there. And I'll show you right here on the front. All right, take this guy on the frontals. I start up around the side, go down around. It's just like a little smiley face, right? And then we can start to work out that color. Tap it in, again, working down, and then up on the other side. And down, up on this side. And that way his base looks more round, right? All these guys are going to fall over into bushes and stuff. But if it's higher, lower, higher, it's going to look more rounded than anything else, right? Don't just straight off. I never like it to look like that. Tap this guy. Same thing, right up against our house. Gorgeous. Now, let's get out here, put a few little details on these trees off in the distance, right? What if, we got that yellow, and use our green. So let's get our sap green onto our brush with our liquid white. And the only purpose of the liquid white is that it will deposit, it will help the green deposit off of the brush and attach itself onto the tree a lot easier than without it, right? If we didn't have it, it wouldn't want to come off the brush at all. Like in that instance, we didn't have enough, right? So the green wasn't wet enough to come off of the brush. Therefore, it didn't deposit all the way as we were going. This guy's he's in the bright light too, so it's hard to kind of tell. But little taps, little things, we don't need them to be too super bright. Just kind of rocking back and forth, filling up little spaces is all we're really doing. Right? Each time we do it, our brush gets covered with our plaque mix, because we're slapping into that plaque, and it's dropping off the green, and it's picking up the white, the black. So you gotta be careful and go wash your brush off. Let's put our shadows onto this guy now. Put our left side, bang, 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 bang. Couple little bits, right? Only about half a tree out there. And that's how you gotta do it, because you gotta have your light source on your other side, which is gonna be a different color. In our case, I'm gonna use the Indian yellow. It's gonna be gorgeous. When you get that orange and the green play off each other, so pretty. Oh, I just can't take it. Right? The more we get over here, the darker our trees can become. So don't worry about all of your shadowy bits on your very farthest away tree. It doesn't very much matter. No one's going to be focusing on all those little bits out there, especially when we get into our Indian yellow, which is a yellow, but it's a very orange yellow, especially when you add that bit of liquid white in there. Now, let's come off of our fronts. We're just going to tap little things, start depositing little guys. And the more that we get out here, the more that we start tapping in, little bits come off of our brush a little easier when you got enough of your liquid white. Right? We're just trying to tap on a few things. We don't need every bit of our tree to be covered in orange. We want the majority of the tree to be dark, right? You gotta have it. If you don't have that darkness, then there's nowhere to reach inside and grab something. That means there's no depth in your tree. If you can't literally reach inside and get something out, right, then you have no depth. That's just how it goes. There we go. Not trying to cover up every single thing, guys. Leaving little pockets of darkness. Now, they may look bright because of my super bright lights, but if I shadowed it enough for you to be able to see, you can see the pockets of darkness in there. Now, let's get back into our liquid white, over into our Indian yellow, and then into our further away trees. Now, these guys, especially this guy being much further away, less taps on him. We don't need to see all the details. Skip more areas, right? Perfect. That is about 25% the amount of taps or details as this guy has. Makes him look further away, doesn't it? Just an easy little thing. Leaving more spaces is all we gotta do. Back over here now. These guys that are a little bit taller, you might not be able to get it all in one go. Right? As you're tapping down with your branches, they may start turning dark instantly. You may only get half the tree before you have to clean your brush off. You go back and do it again. Right? We always got to make sure we got the right amount of liquid white and the right amount of that oil paint in there in order to have the right consistency. If you don't have the right consistency for it to pop off of your brush, then guess what? You're going to have a harder time doing all these little things. Right? Little taps, a little less, a little here, a little there. Right? A couple little bits. Bang! Little things in the night. Nothing has to be overly bright or overly dark, or this or that. This is the one that we're focused on right here, right? All these other ones are much too far away to see every detail. Gorgeous. All right, now, let's add in some bushes and stuff, and we'll be all set. Remember, you guys can get this if you go to paintwithjosh.com. It's the very first thing you're gonna see over on my website. And we're not even close to being done. Oh, I love Fridays. We can do good long shows, right? Okay, let's toss in some of our branches off of our tree in the back, because he looks a little lonely. And where's my liner brush at? Hello, as my daughter says. Where's the Paint with Josh liner brush? Guys, I know it's here somewhere, but, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Dude, where is it? Where are you, little brush? I know you're here. It's probably like sitting, literally staring me in the face, and I can't find it. How am I going to put branches off? I'm going to have to use Bram's brush. I don't want to use Bram's brush. I want to use my brush. Damn it, where's the Paint with Josh liner brush at? This is starting to irritate me slightly. Alright, I'm going to find it, so you guys are going to have to wait while I go on the hunt for my liner brush. Where is it? I'm really starting to get mad now. I was just using it last night. Did I take it over here and set it down somewhere? No, why would I do that? That's stupid. No, where? I'm so sorry, guys. I gotta find this brush. Brushy poo. Where are you? I know you're here. I just used you yesterday. Dude. Alright, I guess we'll use Bram's brush because I can't find my own. Damn it. Where is... It's so funny, like, all of these, right? All of these are potential Paint with Josh liner brushes. They're all the defect ones that I didn't go with. I'm looking for the much smaller version of these guys, and I can't seem to find it. So, okay, we'll go with the Bram brush. It's all good. Bram's got a wicked awesome liner brush. I used to use it all the time. Right? We dip it into our odorless mineral spirit, so it's very wet. Dip it into the our Paint with Josh plaque mix, and once it's very wet, it will deposit off of our brush very simply and easily. If your paint doesn't want to come off of your brush, that means you don't have enough of our odorless mineral spirit cleaner inside there, right? Pop that little guy out there, over here. Let's go straight off the top. Little guys out here in the night. Trying to miss our areas of intense paint, right? Our real thick, snowy areas. We don't want to hit all those guys. Don't want to do that. Trying to miss all that spot, in fact. Even with our odorless mineral spirits, we're not trying to get out there and get all crazy. Right? Put little branches on our trees out in the night. Bits off the end, up here, over there. Just a couple of things, right? Not everyone is going to have the same little trees or the same little kinks in their branches or whatever. You don't have to. What you do have to do is find my liner brush. Oh, if I had an assistant, they would be in so much trouble right now. Because it's my fault that I can't find my liner brush. Someone else must have to pay for it. Dude, it's got, I always put it right here. So where is it? It's always right here. Amidst these other brushes. Right? Got the whole Paint with Josh brush set in my hand. Literally pulling every Paint with Josh brush that I have on my table out just to find this one. Where is it? Alright, it's not on my table then. I'm going to go with that. Because now we've literally looked through every brush and it's not on my table, which means it must have fallen somewhere long forgotten. In any case, I'll have to find it. How am I supposed to paint without the Paint with Josh liner brush? How am I supposed to do the birds? Where is this brush? I honestly, this is not a joke. This isn't a bit. I'm trying to literally find my favorite brush, which seems to have disappeared. I guess I'll end up finding it by the time that we finish the show. It's on the left. It's nowhere, man. It's not on the floor. It's not in that pile. I just used the dang thing. Literally just used it yesterday. It didn't go in the garbage, did it? That was really, just really suck. I don't think that I would be so stupid as to throw it away. Alright, in any case, let's get moving forward. We'll move forward. I'm sure you guys needed a break to catch up anyway, so eventually, maybe one day, I'll find it. Oh, man. Alright, I can't do another show without it. So, okay, let's get out some of our blue. We're going to get our Paint with Josh plaque mix going, because we need a lot of it in order to make these bushes and stuff, right? So get our blue, get our crimson, get our black all together. Oh, I love that sky. I love that little sky with it's going to have so many little purpley bushes in the front, too. It's going to be amazing. crimson, a little black. A little break for you guys. I still am searching for the liner brush and cannot find it anywhere. I don't know where it is. Can we hire a private detective to come find my liner brush, please? It was here. We know not where it is now. Maybe it would be easier to find if I actually cleaned up my table every so often, but that just makes too much sense. Okay, let's get over here and get some of this stuff. Let's get rid of our odorless mineral spirits out of our plaque pile, because you don't want it being very thin here. This is where we need it to be uberly thick. And you know what? We could probably sneak in. Just looking at it, could have snuck in a little river back in there, but in any case, it's okay. It's okay. Freaking humongous. Alright, let's get in here with our plaque mix. Our bushy brush. We gotta make it first. I thought we already did that part. Let's get in here with our blue, crimson, and black. Mix all those guys up. I mean, we're gonna probably need more than that, Josh. Just make a bunch. Just make a bunch, he says. Toss it in back here, scrape it through, flatten it out. I'm gonna have a ton. There we go. And I like having it in a pile versus pulling it out very flat, especially when we're gonna load our bush brush for it, right? Let's also use a brush we haven't used in a long time. We'll use the old Bob Ross oval-y brush. Come tap it in, just like this. And let's say back along the side of our house, tap in just a couple little bits. Little bushes, little things, little something. We don't want to have too many because we know that our bushes that are going to sit in the front are going to be overtaking this little guy, right? So we don't want to have too many little things on there. We just want to have a little touch, a little something, a little bit that says hey man, I was here. A little bit of our green, right over the tip top of that guy, not trying to cover it, trying to retain some of the darkness underneath. Give yourself a little bit of a bush down there. Happens to all of us. Here, flip this guy off over here. Still can't find the liner brush. No, guys. I don't know where I would have put it. It goes nowhere except for right here. This is its spot. All right. Now we've got our things back there. We've got our bush. We've got our tree. Let's get in here to our plaque. And then let's start launching them over the side and down, right? So drag it down over all that darkness, just popping in each time. Each time you do it, you have to pop your brush, right? So you get that little texture effect, and then it starts dropping off and falling down, right? Over the edge and down again. These little things can happen in the night, right? Leave it very dark down around the bottom. You can already see them as they start flowing off of the canvas, right? Little bits. Not every piece is going to be all exactly the same or the same amount of brightness or whatever. Maybe we want to leave a little piece of grass in between the one. Leave a piece of grass in between the one. I don't care, man. Whatever you guys want to do to your own paintings is up to you guys. Ooh, that's going to look cool right there. Alright, of course, we used all of our plaque mix, like I knew we would, so let's go back and make up one little bit more, and then we'll be all set to put in our crazy, colorful bushes in the front. That's fantastic. Just fantastic, everybody. There we go. Alright, a little bit more. Get out here, and we use the plaque because it stays nice and deep and dark, you know what I mean? And that way, you retain all of those deeper, darker shadows, along with all of our little textury feel down there, all these crazy little bits coming off the edge. Maybe down underneath, you got a whole other little guy. Right? It's not just the one thing hanging from the top. You got them down below as well. Right? There's a bit off the side, there's one down here. A whole new little section, and we'll have different little bits of depth even within our own foreground, right? All sorts of craziness. I'll cover up some of those guys. There we go. Really pushes that tree back a little bit. Now we're going to wash off all the darkness out of the brush. Come in and add in our highlight colors. which we could use our Magic Fly set. The only problem is they take just ages to dry, it seems. Just literal ages it takes to dry. On some of those colors, anyway. Just some of them, you guys. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so let's get over here. We'll grab up these Magic Fly colors. Now, if you've never heard of them before, it's literally exactly how it sounds. Magic Fly, put them together. Fly, like a bird. Magic Fly. So, put those two together, and you can see they're very much like acrylic paints. They're so just bodiless. They have nothing to them. There's no firmness. There's no anything. It's just a bunch of just crazy thin oil paints. I don't even know how they can call them oil paints. Let's go from our green over into our bluey little bit over here. Oh, I just love the little bluey little flowery tip tops. Fantastic. There's nothing better than these Magic Fly paints for highlights, for sure, right? Because they're already much thinner than our Meeden paints are, which also are good for highlights, but they're much thinner than them. So they will literally come off of our brush without having to add anything. We don't need to have any liquid white. We don't have to put any mineral spirits with it. Because they're already so acrylic-y, right, they're going to deposit off of our brush much easier. Now, let's get, if we have the blue and green, let's get a little bit of our yellow. Let's pop just a couple little yellow babes out there. Right? Not trying to cover every single piece of every single thing in too much color. That's not what we want. Right? There's a whole other little yellowy bush down here. Some sort of something that's growing from below. Have a bit of red. Maybe we'll toss in that bright red. It comes off just so pretty. Just so gorgeous, right? The more little colors that you use and different little patterns, the cooler it's gonna look, you guys. Get into our little orangey bit. I'm gonna drop off a couple little orangey flowers down the bottom side, right? Because not everything has to be the same all the time, or the same color for your whole bush. Maybe you want a bit of green and orange and yellow all together, right? Whatever floats your boat, man. You can do whatever you want. Right, back into this little bit of green over here. I like this darker green. It's like the mid-green from the Magic Fly set as like our under shadowy leaves. You know what I mean? Not every little flower is going to have just color all over it. You're going to have some little bits of greenery kind of dangling down as well, or at least in the shadowy parts under our bright colors, our little flowers and stuff. Just fabulous, you guys. Remember, go to paintwithjosh.com. You can grab this painting, and it's available right over there, but you got to be first to get it. Paintwithjosh.com. Let's go into our rose color. Love this rose color over here. Let me pop this guy off the side. It's like a purpley pinkish. It's not too overly bright, and it's not too overly dark. We're going to highlight that guy with just a little bit of our pink color. Angle down a few little pieces. Falling down, right? Not everyone's got to be all the same. It doesn't all have to be the same amount of texture or anything. Right into our lavender. That little purplish lavendery color. Start the flowers up on the top. And let them get darker as they get lower and lower and lower and lower and lower down. They're going to get darker and darker and darker as they go. Right? Not trying to cover every bit. Not trying to get in between every single guy. A little bit of our red, perhaps, off of this guy down here. And dangle, roll, flow, right? All these little things on top of all of that plaque. You're going to have so much depth inside of all of your colors, guys. I have way too many palettes and all sorts of stuff going on. There we go. Every so often we have to clean the brush, right? If you get too much paint on, you can't start discerning what color is what color. Get on there and clean that brush up. See what you can get going. Now, we had some of our blue. Let's get some of that blue back in over here, too. A little bit of our blue color. Whoops. There we go. Maybe that little blue guy is back in here. Dangling down little bits, right? Doesn't have to be the most brightest of everything. Maybe we got a little bit of that super bright green up on the top of this guy. Not trying to cover every single piece of every single bit of every single bush, right? Little things. Down in the night. Little bits, right? Not everything is all overly full. It doesn't all have to be overly full. A little piece of yellow coming down. Right? Little things, guys, little things, I'm telling you. They're going to make your painting look really cool. Now, let's get out. Let's wash our brush one more time. And then we'll get to signing and doing all that stuff. So you guys got to come up with a title. What do you want to call this painting? What would you call it? Right? If you had done it, if it was your painting and you were like, you know what, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm going to call it this, right? Give us that title. What do you think it should be called? Pink is so stinking pretty, man. Just kind of roll down just a little bit more. Woo! The Pinkie Pies. Oh, it's just fantastic. Just can't get over it. I'm going to keep adding them. Little bits of pink from here and there and everywhere. Oh, goodness gracious. Little guy. Oh, man. All right, let's get out of here, wash this brush off. You guys start coming up with a title for this painting. We gotta name it. I gotta get rid of that palette over there. I'm gonna shake this into the old bucket. And remember, head over to paintwithjosh.com. It's the very first thing you're gonna see on paintwithjosh.com is this painting right here, right? This gorgeous little flower-hungry little guy out here waiting for you to take him home. So, paintwithjosh.com, number 1341 is the very first thing you'll see on the website. You don't have to search. You don't have to do anything. It's right there. Okay? Get over there and check it out. paintwithjosh.com. Over there. Here, there, and everywhere. Got 2 brushes to clean, and then we'll be ready for your titles. So I hope you're coming up with a good one. I'm going to try to find my stinking brush. I still can't find it. No clue where it might possibly be. But we're going to find it. Because I can't paint without it, man. Alright. This, that. Here, you guys want to see some real art. Look at this guy right here. That's art for you. That's the paper towel that painted this painting. There we go. Take that guy off. Wipe off the old palette. Reuse, recycle. Over here. There we are. Goodness gracious. Alright, I swear I have looked and looked and looked for that brush. I know it's not on my table, so I'm going to have to look other places for it, because I know categorically it's not on my table. Guaranteed. So where is it? That's another question that no one can answer, you guys. No one can answer. Alright, let's put on a little bit of highlight on our tree. That's all we need. A little bit of our brown, a little touch of our white. And that should give us enough of a little indication that we got some trunk back here. Just by touching it, pulling up. Right? Not trying to drag it. Just touching and going it. Touch, remove, touch, remove, touch, remove, touch, remove. That's it. We're literally sticking that little suction cup onto the end, pulling it off, following up the side, not to go all the way to the top. So you got a little bit of brown on one side, a little bit of darkness on the other. That's going to make it look round, right? Helps us. Helps us, guys. What's round, taters? Alright, let's get this guy. I can't find that brush. Okay, you guys got to give me a title. What are we going to call this painting? Let me know in the comments below. Still, like walking down the hallway, looking over here, over there. Where's my brush? No one knows. It's fine. I don't know how I lost it. 4 Seasons, that's cool. That's a cool title. Valley of the Lost Brush. You guys kill me. Valley of the Lost Bristle. Alright, I know it's gotta be here. Where are you, dude? Come on. Literally can't be anywhere else. I don't go anywhere else. I don't do anything else. So, it has to be here, right? And that poor thing too, it's like such a thin brush that it's probably like lent up against something, like bending the bristles so they'll be all out of shape and it's really irritating. Where is it? Alright, in any case, we'll have to use Bram's brush again to sign the painting, but we do need a title. So, come up with a title. What would you name it? If you wanted to purchase it, you get to choose the title, right? Forever. Yeah, it's not about the paintbrush, guys. Oh my god. The title of the painting has nothing to do with a lost paintbrush. Like, what in your mind, why? When someone looks at the painting, they're not going to go, oh yeah, no, that's the lost paintbrush. You have no idea that I lost the paintbrush during this live. What are you guys thinking? Honestly, where's my brush? Alright. I am now under the suspicion that a dark wizard has come in the middle of the night and stolen my paint and Josh liner brush. That is the only logical explanation why I can't find it, because it's supposed to be right here. So, dark wizard and his wizardy powers have come in to mess with me today. Alright, let's go over here and let's pop in just a little caca, a couple little birdies flying through the night. Love that for them. Let's make this a little bit thicker. She gets mad if I don't. If her bird's not as noticeable, then little pumpkin pants gets mad. So if you don't like how it looks either, you blend it completely away because it has all that odorless mineral spirits in there. It will blend away so softly. There we go. Alright, let's sign this. This Paint with Bram liner brush is so much different than the Paint with Josh liner brush is. Not better or worse, just different. It's got a lot more bristles in it, so it's a lot more like firm, I guess. There's more body to his brush. But it also means that the line isn't as sharp. Oh! I found it! You guys, look, it's way back here. Oh my goodness. My poor brush. How did you make it back here? Oh, you poor sweet baby. Oh, you poor sweet baby. We found it. Mwah. I love that brush. All right. No offense or anything, Bram. I just like mine more than yours. It's not a, it's a personal thing. I mean, no, it's not personal. It's a personal preference. I just like mine. I like playing with mine more than yours. It's not anything to be ashamed of, right? Over here. Yay! I found the liner brush. How the hell it got all the way in the back corner back there? Don't ask. But the good thing is we found it, and let me show you the differences between the Paint with Bram liner and the Paint with Josh liner. Right? Paint with Bram has much more bristles. Right? A little bit longer in the bristles, a lot more of them. And his are the natural hog hair bristles versus mine are the synthetic hog hair bristles. So you get a little bit more bend, you get a little bit sharper of a tip, and I really like it. Let's come down here. Pop this guy down there, over there, over here. I can't believe I missed you this whole time, brush. Where have you been? How did you get back behind the easel into the back corner of my studio? No clue? Don't you ever leave me again. I can't deal. I can't focus when you're not around. All right. Now, from all the way on the left, it literally is the furthest left brush on my table. Like so I can literally go to the end, grab the liner brush, and go. Right? And it got as far right behind the thing as possible. And I just so happened to see it as I was looking off in that direction. Incredible, you guys. Incredibly. Clean out this brush over here. Fabulous. It's a lot of grassy green color in that brush, isn't there? Even after beating it, even after dabbing it on the paper towel, you can still get out so much color onto the brushes. So, make sure you clean them off, dry them off, of course. Now, that the whole brush debacle has been solved, we can now come up with a title for this painting. And let's see what we got. Love that for you. The homestead, I like that. Who said that? Go with the flow. Hiker's dream, I like that too. I like that. Thank you, Kara. Appreciate you. Darla, love it. Thank you, Grim99. Everybody watching over on YouTube, you guys are amazing. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you're watching over there. I know, Diana, I found it. I'm so happy that we found the brush. Oh, that's perfect. I dig that. Go with the flow. Blossom's Edge. All right, let's pin that comment right there. All right, let's go with that for a title. We'll call it Blossom's Edge, right? Right at the edge of creation. All these blossoms are about to fall over the side. So, strike that guy down. Like this. Boom, boom, boom. Number 1431. And we're calling it Blossom's Edge. Painted on 8/9 of 2025, and we're all going to paintwithjosh.com because it's the best site ever. Shoo, guys. Bang. Dude, there's so much texture on this painting right here. You're going to be able to feel every single flower that's painted on the canvas. It's amazing. Okay, you guys have been an awesome crowd. This was a cool painting. 90-minute tutorial for you guys. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, guys. So, let's say goodbye to the YouTube and the Facebook camera. You guys have been fantastic. I can't wait to see your versions of this painting. Please send it into facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day, and bye-bye. Boom! Holy moly.